Spread out.
Liar! Darlene, you used it, didn't you, little twerp?
No, I didn't.
Why don't you just tell the truth for once?
Okay, I will. The truth is, you're a dink.
We are family.
Remember when a loud, unapologetic, working-class mom took over Primetime and half of America swore the Connors lived on their block? That was Roseanne. From 1988 to 1997 on ABC, Roseanne Barr, John Goodman, Laurie Metcalf, Sara Gilbert, and the rest of the Connor family turned Lanford, Illinois into the most lived-in address on television. They argued about bills, they fought over the last piece of meatloaf, they raised kids with no money, no filter, and absolutely no interest in looking polished for the camera. But behind that plaid couch and cluttered kitchen, there were stories most people never heard, and some of them are wilder than anything the writers put on screen. So today, we're counting down 15 weird facts about Roseanne. And stick around for number 1, because the real-life inspiration behind TV's ultimate dad hits harder than you'd expect. Now, before we get started, hit that like button and subscribe. It keeps these retro deep dives coming every week. Now, let the yelling commence, and let's get into it with number 15, the season 9, It Was All a Dream twist. So, here's the thing about season 9, it went completely off the rails, and somehow that was the plan all along. When the Connors won the lottery, the show that built its entire identity on overdue notices and grocery store coupons suddenly had the family jet-setting and rubbing elbows with celebrities.
We won the lottery. This is the winning lottery ticket. I've got it right here. Remember you told me to watch it on TV.
Viewers noticed. The whole season felt like somebody changed the channel and forgot to tell us. Then came the finale, and Roseanne pulled the rug out from under everyone. Turns out, none of it was real. The lottery, the trips, the lifestyle upgrade, all of it was a story Roseanne the character had been writing to cope with losing Dan.
I lost Dan last year when he had his heart attack.
Because Dan had died off screen between seasons 8 and 9. The man we'd been watching crack jokes for an entire season was gone before it even started. For a show that spent 8 years making the Connors feel like the family down the street, that twist landed like a sledgehammer wrapped in a flannel shirt. Some fans respected the guts it took. Others felt cheated.
Hi, Dan.
Oddly, she knows my name.
And a whole lot of people just sat there staring at their TV wondering what the hell just happened. Decades later, message boards still can't agree on whether it was genius or a gut punch, which honestly might be the most Roseanne thing about it. Number 14, the 1990 national anthem Screech, heard round the world. In July of 1990, Roseanne Barr was sitting on top of the television world. Household name, biggest show in America, so when she got invited to sing the national anthem at a San Diego Padres game, it should have been a victory lap. It was not a victory lap. What the crowd got instead was roughly 90 seconds of pure vocal chaos. She screeched her way through the whole thing like someone dared her to see how far she could push it. And then, because that wasn't enough, she spit on the pitcher's mound and grabbed her crotch. The reaction was immediate. Fans and media erupted. Veterans groups demanded boycotts. Newspapers ran it front page. Even President George H.W. Bush weighed in, calling the performance disgraceful.
My reaction is it was disgraceful.
When the leader of the free world has an opinion about your singing voice, you've officially crossed a line nobody knew existed. For a stretch, it genuinely looked like the biggest show on television might go down in flames over a baseball game. But here's the thing, it didn't. The show took a hit in the court of public opinion, but the ratings held. If anything, curiosity made viewership stronger. People tuned in just to see what Roseanne would do next.
Well, the way I look at it, I'm still working with hair, only now it's in the food.
This wasn't a polished sitcom family worried about appearances. This was Roseanne Connor's world. Everyone else was just living in it. Number 13, the resurrection, and the tweet that blew it all up. After 21 years off the air, Roseanne came back in 2018 and basically broke network television.
I thought you were dead.
Sleeping. Why does everybody else think I'm dead?
The revival premiere pulled in 18.4 million viewers in the streaming era. That's not a comeback, that's a cultural event. And then it all fell apart in a single afternoon. Roseanne Barr posted a tweet that sparked immediate massive backlash. Within 24 hours, ABC pulled the plug. The biggest comeback in television was done just weeks after it started.
Yeah, and we're totally not bigoted because we already came to terms with the fact that you were gay.
I'm not gay.
Most shows would have been buried right there, but ABC did something almost nobody saw coming. They rebranded the whole thing as The Connors. In the premiere, they killed off Roseanne Connor with an off-screen opioid overdose. It was dark and gutsy, and it forced John Goodman, Laurie Metcalf, and Sara Gilbert to carry a show that had always revolved around one person, and they did. The show held its audience and kept going.
Ooh, la biblioteca.
Becky,
Very few shows survive losing the name in the title. This one did, and that says more about the Connor family than any single character ever could. Number 12, The Battle for the Connors' Soul. In 1988, most sitcom stars showed up, hit their marks, and let the producers steer the ship. Roseanne Barr showed up and started flipping tables.
Oh, hi, I looked in the mirror and I'm getting boobs.
From day one, she went head-to-head with series creator Matt Williams over what the show was supposed to be. Williams wanted a traditional producer-driven sitcom. Roseanne wanted something rougher, louder, and a whole lot more real. The two butted heads so hard during season 1 that production was temporarily disrupted. And here's the part that still feels wild for late 80s network TV. She won the fight. By season 2, Williams had stepped back and Roseanne was given the title of executive consultant, a credit reflecting serious creative authority.
I thought Jackie was staying for dinner.
She's mad at me.
She wasn't just the star anymore, she was the gatekeeper of Lanford. And then there was the writer's room. Roseanne felt the Ivy League comedy writers rotating through the show didn't quite get Middle America. So she reportedly gave them numbers, literal numbers like jerseys. If a joke landed, she'd shout out a number. If it bombed, well, hope number 4 had a backup plan. Future blockbuster writers and showrunners have openly talked about how intense that room was and how it shaped everything they did after. Some of them went on to run their own empires.
You know that I would just knock your lights out.
well then, go ahead.
Lanford didn't feel real by accident. It felt real because she fought for every scene of it. Number 11, The $1 Million Housewife. By season 9, Roseanne herself was pulling in roughly $1 million per episode. In the mid-90s,
I'm so upset. I'm going through that divorce with Rob.
that was the kind of money reserved for a very short list of television stars, and very few women had ever reached that level. Not bad for a stand-up comic who built her whole act around being the domestic goddess in Denver comedy clubs. And here's the irony. While the real Roseanne was becoming one of the highest paid people in entertainment, her character was still fighting with Dan about the electric bill. Same couch, same Afghan, same meatloaf. The contrast could have wrecked the whole show. How do you sell We Can Barely Make Rent when the woman delivering the lines is clearing 7 figures a week?
No! Dad has just had a heart attack and this kind of thing could kill him!
What's going on?
Don't panic!
But somehow it held together. The house stayed cluttered, the jokes stayed sharp, the Connors never stopped feeling like the family 2 blocks over. The Connors may have been broke, but the woman who created them was anything but. Number 10, The Stash That Shook ABC. In a classic 1993 episode, the Connors found a bag of weed in the house.
Mary Jane, stick, weed, dope. Call it what you like, it's trouble.
And instead of turning it into an after-school special, they turned it into one of the most memorable episodes of the entire series. In Stash from the Past, Roseanne discovers marijuana hidden in the kids' room and assumes it belongs to one of them.
David, do you smoke pot?
Me? No, of course not. I would never.
Only to realize it's actually hers and Dan's, from 20 years earlier. So what do responsible sitcom parents do? Deliver a lecture? Cue the soft piano? No! Roseanne, Dan, and Jackie lock themselves in the bathroom and light it up. John Goodman played Stone Dan with the exact energy of a guy who just remembered how much he loves cereal. But the real MVP was Laurie Metcalf, who ran away with the episode as a paranoid Jackie hiding in the bathtub, convinced the cops were circling the block.
No boyfriend, no meaningful job, no husband, no family. It's just me. It's just me and my ganja.
Network standards reportedly raised concerns. Parents smoking weed on Primetime in '93? But Roseanne didn't play it like a cautionary tale. Just middle-aged nostalgia, questionable decisions, and a whole lot of giggling. No big speech, no tidy lesson, just 3 grown adults locked in a bathroom trying to remember how to act normal. That's the kind of episode people still talk about 30 years later. Number 9, breaking the period barrier. When it aired, Roseanne did something almost no sitcom had the guts to do. It said the word period out loud and didn't treat it like a state secret. The season 3 episode Nightmare on Oak Street centered on Darlene getting her first period.
I got my period, okay?
No soft focus becoming a woman montage, no sweeping life lesson speech, just a kid dealing with something real, awkward, and completely unavoidable. Sara Gilbert played it perfectly. Darlene was cranky, embarrassed, and wanted the entire planet to leave her alone, which is exactly how most teenagers remember that particular milestone. And then there was Dan. John Goodman's reaction might be the most realistic dad moment in sitcom history. Awkward eye contact, fumbling attempts at support, desperately trying to say the right thing while clearly having no idea what the right thing was.
This is basically what it boils down to.
What?
The biological reality of growing up was still rarely discussed on primetime television, especially so front on. But Roseanne didn't whisper about it. It just treated it like life because that's what the Connors did. They talked about the stuff other sitcom families pretended didn't exist. For a lot of teenaged girls and their very confused fathers sitting next to them on the couch, that episode felt like somebody finally got it right. Number 8, the Halloween episodes that went hard. Most sitcoms treated Halloween like an excuse to put the cast in funny hats for 22 minutes and call it a day.
It's alive! It's alive!
And I'm married to it.
Roseanne treated it like a blood sport. It started in 1989 with Boo, and right out of the gate, the Connors made it clear that October 31st was about psychological warfare. Dan showed up as a headless knight, Roseanne escalated every prank, the whole family spent the episode trying to outscare each other like neighborhood bragging rights were on the line. As the series rolled on, the Halloween episodes became an annual tradition. Bigger costumes, more elaborate pranks, and eventually full-on horror spoofs and fantasy sequences. According to cast interviews, the actors turned it into personal competition to show up the most unrecognizable in the makeup chair.
Do your makeup too, Becky.
Oh, Becky won't be needing makeup. She's already grotesque and hideous as it is.
And here's why fans ate it up. The Connors might have been broke, stressed out, and fighting about the gas bill every other week, but on Halloween, they owned the neighborhood. They were the house on the block where you didn't know if you were getting candy or a heart attack. Roseanne's commitment to Halloween changed the game for 90s family sitcoms. Suddenly, every show following suit had to make October 31st bigger than the Super Bowl. Family Matters leaned in hard, eventually giving us Stevel, the ventriloquist dummy from hell that traumatized an entire generation of kids who were just trying to watch a family sitcom.
Oh yeah? And I suppose I can't dance either.
Home Improvement turned the holiday into Tim Taylor's personal special effects showcase, complete with elaborate haunted houses and enough fog machines to qualify as a weather event, but the Connors started the arms race. And they did it broke, loud, and with zero budget for special effects. Just pure competitive family chaos and a front yard that probably violated at least 2 city ordinances. Alright, we're halfway through, and if you're already mentally ranking Connor family members by who you'd most want at your Thanksgiving table, welcome to the club. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the rest, and drop a comment. Who's the MVP of the Connor household? Is it Dan, Jackie, Darlene, or maybe even Nana Mary if you like chaos? We want names. But for now, let's get back to Lanford with number 7, The Great Becky Breakdown. By the 1993-94 season, Becky Connor just changed faces.
I just want to spend some time with my family.
What about my friends? I haven't seen them in a year.
We should have taped it when they were on America's Most Wanted.
No announcement, no explanation, just a completely different human being sitting at the kitchen table like nothing happened. So here's the backstory. Lecy Goranson, the original Becky, left the show in 1992 to attend Vassar College. At first, the writers worked around it. Becky had eloped with Mark and moved away. Fine, that's totally normal sitcom duct tape. But then season 6 hit and in walked Sara Chalk.
Hey, Deeds, you got bigger.
I'm in puberty, ever heard of it?
Most shows would have done the classic switcheroo and hoped nobody brought it up, like when Bewitched swapped Darrens and expected the entire country to play along. Roseanne leaned all the way in. The show openly joked about the recast and dialogue, acknowledging the switch instead of pretending it hadn't happened. No gaslighting, just a straight-up wink at the audience. When Goranson came back for season 8, the show went full meta, parroting the Patty Duke show's identical cousins theme during a Halloween episode with both Beckys on screen. For a while, they alternated actresses within the same season, a sitcom openly admitting, yeah, we swapped the kid, what are you gonna do about it? Most shows treated their audience like they wouldn't notice. Roseanne treated its audience like they weren't stupid, and somehow, a casting crisis became one of the funniest recurring gags in the entire series. Number 6, the foreman who would be king. Before the Oscars, before the Tequila Empire, before ER turned him into the most famous doctor on television, George Clooney was just Jackie's boss at a plastics factory in Lanford, Illinois. Season 1 featured Clooney as Booker Brooks, the foreman at Wellman Plastics. 11 episodes, great hair, confident smirk, a little romantic tension with Jackie.
You know, I haven't played in a long time, but I used to be a high scorer.
We're talking about bowling, Booker.
That too.
Nothing that screamed future biggest movie star on the planet. Booker disappeared after season 1, just before Roseanne climbed to the top of the Nielsen ratings. Clooney spent a few more years bouncing between TV roles before ER made him a household name in 1994, but Clooney wasn't the only future powerhouse who passed through Lanford.
I'm the boss.
Right,
okay?
and I respect
I'm the top guy.
image.
Because
Something
respect is exactly what I want. Never happened. Glad we have that understanding.
A writer named Joss Whedon joined the staff in season 2, years before Buffy and definitely years before the Avengers. He wrote Brain Dead Poet Society, a Darlene-centric episode loaded with the kind of sarcasm he'd later build a career around. Whedon has described his time on the show as intense and formative, which tracks when your showrunner is Roseanne Barr and your job security depends on whether your joke lands before she shouts your number. Lanford, Illinois, a fictional blue-collar town that doubled as a launchpad for a future Oscar winner and a future blockbuster director. Not bad for a town most people couldn't find on a map. Number 5, the sister who stole the whole show. Jackie Harris didn't live in the Connor house. She didn't need to. She was there every single day anyway, barging through the kitchen door unannounced, dropping onto the couch like she paid rent, and inserting herself into every family crisis whether anyone asked or not.
I happen to know quite a bit about body language.
Yeah? Tell your body to go home?
Laurie Metcalf brought Jackie to life with the kind of range most sitcom actors never get a chance to show. One scene, she'd be doing full-body physical comedy, delivering a punchline with her entire skeleton, and the next, she'd gut punch you with something so raw and quiet it didn't feel like a sitcom anymore. The domestic violence storyline with Fisher, the phone call scene after their father died, where Jackie toggled between grief and inappropriate laughter. That scene alone,
When your number's up, your number's up. All gotta go sometime.
is still one of the most talked about moments in the show's entire run. And the Emmys, they noticed. Metcalf won 3 consecutive Outstanding Supporting Actress awards from 1992 to 1994, a streak that put her in rare company for any comedy performer. But calling Jackie comic relief misses the point entirely. She was messy. She made terrible decisions in relationships. She bounced between jobs like she was allergic to consistency. She wanted to be taken seriously and kept tripping over her own chaos. Fans loved her for it, because half of us had an aunt, a sister, or a mom who was exactly like that. Always a little too loud, and always the first person to show up when things fell apart. Roseanne may have had her name in the title, but Laurie Metcalf made sure Jackie earned her spot at that kitchen table.
It's Jackie. Jackie. I'm fine. Fine.
Every single week. Number 4, the teen who refused to look TV pretty. In the late 80s, every teen on television looked like they'd been styled by a department store catalog. Perfect hair, perfect outfits, but then Darlene Connor showed up looking like she'd just rolled off the back of the school bus and didn't care who noticed.
I can't sleep. Grandpa's in the bathroom making those gagging noises. Ew.
When Sara Gilbert auditioned in 1988, her natural deadpan delivery matched the character immediately. No cute sitcom kid energy, just a dry, sarcastic presence that producers recalled felt less like an audition and more like meeting the actual person the character was written for. So instead of glamming her up to compete with Becky's polished looks,
Go for it, Barbie!
Maybe I will, Ken.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
Hold on a minute, Jackie. I think I heard something.
What?
they let the character stay grounded. Her awkward, couldn't care less presence made it onto the screen exactly as is, and that's how you accidentally create one of the defining teen characters of a generation. As the seasons went on, Darlene leaned into art, writing, cynicism, and full-on black wardrobe mode, a shift that paralleled early 90s alternative culture. But none of it felt like a costume department decision, it felt organic. Just a teenager being exactly who she was going to be whether you liked it or not. For latchkey kids and back row sarcasm machines, Darlene wasn't aspirational, she was familiar, and that's exactly why she still holds up today. Number 3, the house that felt like your aunt's. You could spot the Connors house in about 2 seconds flat. That white-sided place with the wide porch is totally real. The exterior used on Roseanne is an actual house on South Runnymede Avenue in Evansville, Indiana. Not a mansion, not a glossy sitcom dream home, just pure Midwestern we mow our lawn and the gutters can wait energy. And yes, fans still drive by to take pictures. The house has been even marketed to superfans over the years. True Roseanne fans are a wild bunch, but the real magic was what happened on the inside. The set was deliberately dressed to look secondhand and accumulated over time. Mismatched furniture, cluttered shelves, nothing that screamed prop house. That plaid couch, the granny square Afghan, that was all chosen to look like furniture real families own. It looked like a house where the remote had to be smacked twice before it worked and nobody questioned it. Under Roseanne's creative influence, the kitchen stayed deliberately cluttered. Mail piles on the counter, cereal boxes left out. No fake TV neatness, just organized chaos, the way actual kitchens actually looked. That house wasn't just a set, it looked like your aunt's place. It looked like home. Number 2, when a Beetle became a Connor. Of all the stories Roseanne Barr has told about the show's reach, this one still catches people off guard. According to Roseanne, George Harrison, the quiet Beetle himself, was a genuine fan of the show. Not in a, oh, I've seen that polite kind of way. She's recounted over the years that Harrison told her watching the Connors sit around their messy, bill-strewn living room reminded him of growing up in working-class Liverpool. The unpaid bills, the family bickering, the chaos of just trying to get by. To him, it wasn't a sitcom, it was familiar. Roseanne has also said Harrison invited her to his legendary Friar Park estate and that the two stayed friendly until his death in 2001. Now, these stories come from Roseanne, and Harrison was never one to do press about his TV habits, so take it with whatever grain of salt feels right, but the idea itself isn't too hard to believe. A show about a broke family in Lanford, Illinois resonating with a guy who played on the rooftop of Apple Records? That's the kind of authenticity you can't fake. And if Roseanne's telling is even half true, George Harrison apparently knew the real thing when he saw it. Number 1, the audition that built TV's greatest marriage. In 1987, producers Marcy Carsey and Tom Warner had a problem. They needed somebody who could stand next to Roseanne Barr on screen and not get completely steamrolled. Whoever played her husband had to hold his own without turning into a punchline. Then, John Goodman walked into the room. He barely knew who she was. He'd seen her in a commercial, but that was about it. However, the second they started reading together, something clicked. They started going at each other like they'd been married for 15 years and were 3 rounds deep in a kitchen argument about who forgot to pay the water bill.
I don't know, I guess I just wasn't inspired.
Well, I'm here now.
Goodman walked out knowing he had the job. Roseanne said they bonded over making each other laugh and over the fact that Goodman came from a working class background. Producer Tom Warner confirmed they never even considered anyone else. That chemistry became the entire emotional engine of the series. Dan wasn't a sitcom punching bag. He wasn't the dopey husband tripping over furniture while the wife ran the house. He was steady, dry, funny when it counted. He could fix a sink, coach a kid through crisis, and shut down a screaming match with one perfectly timed line. He was the only person in Lanford who could go toe-to-toe with Roseanne and walk away with the last word half the time. And audiences felt it. Overdue bills, screaming matches in the kitchen at 11 o'clock at night, layoffs. All of it worked because Dan and Roseanne felt like the couple 2 houses down who fought loud but loved louder. They became one of the most beloved marriages in television history, not because they were perfect, but because they never pretended to be. That's why the 2018 revival had to retcon Dan's death immediately. because the Connor house without him in that recliner didn't make any sense. The whole thing fell apart without him. And here's the part most people never knew. The blueprint for Dan Connor was Bill Pentland, Roseanne's first husband. Pentland consulted on the show during its early seasons, and Dan's work ethic, dry humor, and regular guy energy were all drawn from the man she'd actually been married to. The arguments about money, the fumbling through the unglamorous reality of keeping a household together, none of that was manufactured. Goodman brought the performance, Pentland provided the blueprint, and together they created a TV dad so real that a whole generation claimed him as their own. And there you have it. 15 weird facts that prove the Connors were just as wild behind the scenes as they were in front of the camera. So, which one caught you off guard? Drop it in the comments, and while you're down there, tell us, are you Team Darlene or Team Becky? We need to settle this once and for all. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with whoever you used to watch Roseanne with. They probably need this trip down memory lane just as much as you do. And hey, until next time, this is Remember When.